So what law were you pushing in 2018? Was it, and were you successful? Is it technically legal in Northern Ireland now to have medicinal cannabis?
Yes. In 2018, because there was no sitting government, the NI executive, the devolved government, they had a year off, or 2 years. 3 years.
Basically,
I didn't want to say 3. It sounds worse when you say
1,000
3.
days, just over 1,000 days.
So during that period, a lot of things happening in Northern Ireland came to an end, like grants for youth football and stuff, and it was never renewed because there was nobody sitting to renew it. The cannabis legislation that came through Westminster on the 1st of November 2018 wouldn't have included Northern Ireland. A devolved government has to sit down and have a meeting and then write to Westminster and say, see your legislation change, we've had a good chat about it, we want to be included, and they have to hand that in. But see, if they do not submit that request, you're not included. This is why Northern Ireland has different laws to the rest of the UK, like the abortion laws and things like that, just as an example. So in 2018, myself, along with a couple of other cannabis activists and a couple of politicians, got together and we managed to get that sit down in Westminster, or in Stormont. There was no sitting assembly or nothing, but we got...
Can you say what MLAs you were sat down with?
It was chaired by Mike Nesbitt. The UUP were heavily involved, but all the parties were represented. We had Sinn Féin MLA come in from Oma. We had a lot of SDLP there, Alliance were there. All the parties were there, and they were all talking about medical cannabis.
Was there serious opposition voiced at this point, or was this all people who were in favour of the idea?
There was the only sort of opposition, and I'm glad you actually asked that. The only opposition at that time in that meeting was procedure and red tape, following procedures. It wasn't, oh, here, you can't do this because it's, the news says it's going to turn people schizo, which is like, it's 2018 to 2021. The schizophrenic ratios have not went up, but anyway, so that was sort of the only way, or sort of the only opposition that we had at that meeting, which was, right, okay, we understand what you want to do, but there's no devolved government, or Westminster need to debate or whatever, and blah blah. But at the end of the day, we've done a really good job, and we pushed it through. We got cannabis legalised in Northern Ireland on private prescription. So that was 2018.
That's incredible. Well, congratulations and thank you for doing that. That's a real step towards people not being criminalised for adults smoking a plant that's largely harmless.
Exactly. Well, thanks for that, Josh. I appreciate that. But I do have to say, I was only part of a team, and there was bigger players on that wee panel that went to Stormont than me. I was just excited at the time. I was just excited to be involved. But now looking back on it, it definitely is something that I am very proud of.
I mean, that's people probably look back at that particular moment at some point when they're doing the retrospective on how cannabis became legal. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Let me interrupt, Josh.
Yeah.
Don't look at the camera and speak into the mic unless you want to. It's just every time you move, it's we've got to capture the audio as well because you're facing away from it when you return back looking.
Oh, okay.
Just let you know. Alan, you're doing great. Just keep doing it. Right, carry on with that now.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yes.
Thanks. I've lost my train of thought. Where were we? What were we talking about, Blair, before you rudely interrupted?
Yes, sorry. Don't worry about this. I'll make it right. Obviously, Alan was talking about how it's taking part in 2018.
Right, that's where we were with the legalization. Yeah, so hopefully when someone looks back and does the retrospective of the timeline to the legalization of cannabis in Northern Ireland, they'll probably start with that moment, I would say.
Hope so, yeah.
So what have you got planned for this place, and what's the ceiling on this for you? Like, where do you want it to go? Like, if you had the absolute dream of like exactly what you wanted to happen, like where would this be in a year or two?
Well, at the moment, it's for people that have a prescription for cannabis to come and meet and talk to each other. The very first day we opened, I got in contact with a few people that I knew. See, private prescriptions, they're private, and a lot of people that have them, and because of the stigma in society, a lot of these people are still sitting in the house on their own. But what I actually came across was a man and a lady. It's actually, she's a wee granny, God love her, but she's brilliant. She loves her cannabis. She was prescribed a certain strain from a clinic for her illness, and there's now another gentleman that I know that lives in the other side in Northern Ireland. He has been prescribed a different strain for the same illness from a different clinic.
That's interesting.
And I was able to put the two of them in a room together. Just like this, put the vaporizer. He brought his private prescription, she brought hers. The two of them put it on the table, and they spent about an hour here, and it was absolutely fantastic. So that's the sort of thing I'm looking to happen here more and more. The bigger picture is hopefully this can be a pathway to everybody else that's watching this, saying, here, what's the trick? What's the catch? The catch is, I've got a private prescription for medical cannabis, and I've got a vaporizer and a table. That's it. You know, there is no laws that prohibit vaping indoors.
Right.
And a private prescription
So you can
is
vape indoors.
yes.
Does the smoking law stop people smoking things other than tobacco indoors?
Combustion in general, no smoking.
Right.
Vaping and combusting is two different things. Where whenever you're vaping cannabis herb, you're just heating it. So you will always have some left over. But whenever you're combusting it, you're burning it burns away to nothing. So that's the two difference between the two. So whenever you're getting your private prescription for cannabis, the doctor is saying, we recommend that you vaporize this in a proper vaping device. So the likes of this Volcano Hybrid / Matic, I call this Matic now from now on.
Just put a label on it.
These
Little sticker
retail,
over it.
definitely. These retail, it'll be €500. You know, they're over £400. So it's a serious bit of kit. But the likes of the wee granny that I know, she can't afford that. And even if she could, she's not going to put it beside her wee figurines in the front room. You know what I mean? So this, you imagine that? The figurines and then the big vaporizer.
You go in, you like all the brass stuff.
Yeah.
And
Love to
just
do all the
vape
polishing.
sitting there, yeah.
All the different ones. So this bit of kit, it's here, and she can come all she wants and use it. So, you know, that's more or less the gist of it. More people, especially I would say the likes of the cities, especially Belfast, I would dare to say you'll see one of these popping up in Belfast really, really soon. And I've already had contact from people in Scotland and England saying, we're thinking about doing that. How are you doing it? We're thinking about it. So I am in touch with these people now, and you know, I just want more and more of these to pop up, because at the end of the day, you could argue it is unpoliceable, it is medical, and it's private medical. So if the likes of, say, maybe there was a disturbance and the police did come round here, straight away it's a fine line between what exactly are you doing here, and you know you're encroaching on people's personal medical, that sort of thing. So the other side of that coin is if the likes of the police and the council did come round and they wanted to maybe argue as to what we're doing here, the first thing I'd be bringing up is why they're ignoring the Concord, you know. So getting those sort of people around and having the patience around here, the whole thing's just gonna blow up. The two of us could sit here and vape now. I could vape my private prescription right in front of you, and there's anybody walking past that, you know, that don't know us, they wouldn't be able to pick out which one of us actually has the prescription. So, you know, reading between the lines, if you see what I'm saying, you know, it is definitely, I feel it's the way forward. And if one of your friends has a private prescription, you definitely bring him here and come with him, you know.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.